When the best pitchers in the world get together, Roger Clemens and Barry Zito are in the room. Today, they're on the same field. In a rematch of last weekend's gritty throwdown, the American League's last two Cy Young Award winners will do it again. At the stadium, Clemens battled and hung tough, grunting his way through 7 sweaty innings. Zito was a bit better, handcuffing the Yankees with searing heat and biting curveballs. In the end, the Yankees took the loser's walk. Today, they look to stop another Oakland celebration. Yankees A's next on Yes. You name it, they grill it. They love to tailgate here in Oakland, whether for the Raiders or for the Athletics. Yankee fans, though, well, they have a hunger for winning. That's what this game is all about. You are looking live at close to a sellout at the Oakland Coliseum, where today, the Yes Network presents New York Yankees baseball. The New York Yankees against the Oakland A's in the second game of a 3-game set. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Yankees baseball. Along with Bobby Mercer, I'm Michael Kay. A great pitching matchup today, an outstanding one yesterday. At least through 7 innings. It was 2-2 going into the bottom of the 8th inning. And then we saw something that we usually don't see, Bobby.
Well, it was death in the 8th inning for the Yankees, and it was a do-or-die play for Bernie Williams in center field. The way Hudson was pitching, they couldn't afford to give up any more runs. That do-or-die play turned into an inside-the-park home run for the first time for Terrence Long. It scored 2 more runs.
On that 8th inning, 5 runs the A's scored, and they never looked back. So it was a great pitching matchup between Hudson and Weaver. And today, an outstanding pitching matchup as well, brought to you by Infinity, makers of innovative high-performance premium vehicles.
Well, Roger Clemens, who hasn't gotten a whole lot of offensive support in his last 2 starts, goes for his 5th win, 2.49 earned run average, and the reigning Cy Young Award winner Barry Zito, 5-2. Look at that earned run average, 2.20. Roger Clemens, we talked about the no offensive support against the Seattle Mariners. Of course, he strikes out Ichiro there, but Boone sends one over the left field fence at Yankee Stadium, and Clemens left that game trailing 4-0 against Seattle. And then the matchup that we have today, well, it was in Yankee Stadium. Another home run as Roger left that game trailing 2-0. So Roger's not getting a whole lot of offensive support.
In his last 2 starts, Bobby, the Yankees have been shut out. Barry Zito is going to try to make it 3 in a row. Zito against Clemens. Sit back in your chair and enjoy this. It should be good right here on Yes. New York Yankees baseball is brought to you in part by Continental Airlines, the official airline of the New York Yankees. Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. It is a gorgeous day here in the East Bay, and we're expecting a pretty good baseball game as well. Barry Zito and his Oakland Athletics have taken the field here at the Coliseum. Zito's taking his warm-ups, and he's preparing to face this Yankee lineup as put together by manager Joe Torre. Alfonso Soriano leads off. He'll play second. Batting second and playing third, Todd Zeile. The catcher, Jorge Posada, will hit third. Batting fourth and playing center field, Bernie Williams. Hideki Matsui, the left field, about 5th. 10-game hitting streak for him, hitting .357 during that streak. Raul Mondesi's in right field, he'll bat 6th. Batting 7th, the DHing Bubba Trammell. First baseman Nick Johnson will bat 8th. Batting 9th and playing shortstop, Eric Almonte.
And the starting pitcher, Barry Zito. Our scouting report, sweet music. Yes, he also is an accomplished guitarist along the lines of Bernie Williams. He also has sweet music that he plays with that left arm. Cy and counting. He got his first Cy Young Award last year, and he's counting for more. He's going to be only 25 years old on Tuesday, 12-6. He's got that devastating curveball that breaks from 12-6. As you take a look at Barry Zito's numbers now.
Outstanding all around, 5-2, 2.20, 34 hits in 49 innings. That's outstanding. And he is ready to deal to Soriano, and does. And rip foul. 62 degrees here in the Bay Area, and it really is beautiful. And there's a huge crowd is on hand for the Yankees against the A's, game 2 of this 3-game set. There's a strike on the inside corner. Hey, a reminder, everybody, Yankee baseball is broadcast in Spanish. That's right. It's available by hitting the SAP button on your television. Swing and a miss, and Soriano down on 3 strikes. Chased one out of the zone.
Fastball and that devastating curveball and a changeup. And with 2 strikes on you, yeah, you put yourself in a defensive mode, and you will chase one out of the zone, which Soriano did. One of the things that could be bothersome today is this bright sunshine and the high sky.
Zito looks at a pitch away. Reason Zeal's batting second, Giambi was in the original lineup and was scratched because of the eye infection that he's been battling. That one's hit deep to left field, but Burns is there. And he battled that guy that Bobby talked about, how to battle it right into the glove. We'll take a look at the A's defense right now. You've got Burns in left, Singleton in center, and T. Long is over and right in the infield. Chavez, Tejada, Mark Ellis, and Durazo. That's left to right. Johnson behind the plate. You can run on him, and Zito is on the mound.
We talked about that bright sunshine here at Oakland. And it doesn't even appear that Burns has any of those sunglasses on at this time, but very difficult on a day like this to pick the ball up when it goes up in the air.
Posada fouls it away.
Well, like Hudson and like Mulder on this staff, when the Yankees go to home plate, they better be swinging, because those guys have tremendous control of all the pitches that they throw up there, and they're always around the strike zone.
And the 0-1. That's hit sharply to left center field. Coming on is Burns. He dives. He can't get there, and it goes to the wall. Posada will get 2, backing up Singleton, and he gets the ball into third base. So a 2-out double for Jorge Posada.
Second pitch in the sequence to Posada. You see he got the fastball where he liked it, out over the plate in the strike zone. Burns tried to make a good play here, but sort of like Bernie Williams last night in center field off of that line drive by Terrence Long, it goes by him. But since Burns is playing left field, it doesn't go that far. And over there to back up is Singleton. Nice effort, but no go.
So the Yankees promptly have a runner in scoring position with 2 outs for Bernie Williams. The pitch a little bit low. Last time Zito and Clemens hooked up last Sunday, the A's won 2-0. Scott Hatterberg with a first-inning home run against Clemens, then an unearned run in the third inning on a Tejada RBI single. Yankees couldn't get anything going against Zito. And there's the strike. With David Wells getting the run counter, Yankees score over 8 runs a game for him. Roger Clemens, the last 2 starts, has run into very hot pitchers, Gil Mesh and Barry Zito. Yankees have been shut out in both of those games. Clemens would like some breathing room. The 1-1. Hit softly towards second base. Ellis Field. Bernie's jogging down to first, and that will do it. As the Yankees are out in the first inning. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 1 man left. Yankees don't score. The A's coming to bat. Well, the Yankees don't score against Zito in the first inning. Now Roger Clemens will take the mound and face this athletic lineup. Mark Ellis, the second baseman, leads off. The DH is Scott Hatterberg. He'll bat second. Batting third and playing third, Eric Chavez. Good numbers against Clemens, 6 for 19, a home run. Miguel Tejada continues to struggle. The reigning MVP will back cleanup and play shortstop. Batting fifth and playing first base, Arubio Durazo. Terrence Long's in right field. He'll bat sixth. Batting seventh and playing left field, Eric Burns. Chris Singleton plays center. He'll bat eighth. And batting ninth and catching, Mark Johnson.
And the Rocket making his 8th start of the year. That 2.49 earned run average. 45 strikeouts and 47 innings pitched. And the scouting report on the Rocket, help from his friends. Yes, he has been shut out as far as run support is concerned. He's had an opportunity to win those 2 games that he lost. Cy Young, well, that was referred to back in New York that Scott Hatterberg was talking about. Clemens and those 6 Cy Youngs that he has. Please come to Boston. Well, as Michael was talking about in the opening, if he wins the next couple of starts, his 300th win could come in Boston.
Well, that's a couple of starts ahead. Right now, Clemens' focus is on the Oakland Athletics here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon in Oakland. Mark Ellis is ready. So is Clemens. Clemens sometimes struggles early. He does not have great numbers against the A's lifetime. He's 15 and 15, and the first pitch is a strike with a 2.80 ERA. So he never seems to get run support against the A's because a 2.80 ERA should not translate into 15 and 15. considering the fact that Clemens has never been on terrible teams. And the 0-1 inside. Here at the Coliseum, lifetime, Clemens 7-6 with a 2.89, and as a Yankee here in Oakland, 2-2 with a 2.82. So under 3 on all those stats we're giving you. And the count 2-1.
Well, you're talking about premier pitching matchups. Roger Clemens has been defeated by the same pitcher only once in the last 13 years. Barry Zito will try to make that 2 times in 14.
Rip foul. The one time that it happened in the last 13 years, back-to-back defeats at the hands of the same pitcher, Clemens' best buddy did it, Andy Pettitte, in 1998. And the 2-2. Popped up, right side, a lot of foul room. Nick Johnson giving it chase, so is Mondesi. They can't get there. Going to be an Olympic sprinter to get there into the bullpen.
Well, this is one of the drawbacks offensively for hitters here at the Coliseum, is that they have tremendous amount of foul territory. Look at all this foul territory. So if a ball does go up in the air, you can run for a long ways and still run it down and track it down in this Coliseum.
And the 2-2. Popped up, right side again, giving chase is Mondesi. On the run, he slides, he can't get there, foul ball. Well,
Mondesi gave it his best effort.
Always wondered, Bobby, when you slide feet first, you're moving more away from the ball. Your glove is going back. If you dive forward, then your glove is closer to the ball.
I think you're trying to get on the same level as the baseball.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. 89-mile-an-hour splitter. 1 down.
Well, Zito has that 12-6 curveball. Clemens has that devastating split-fingered fastball. Look at it just drop out of the zone. And you get a chance to look inside Clemens's glove and the grip that he throws that split finger with. Well, that thing just dropped right out of the zone.
Here's Hatterberg. And a breaking ball, rare breaking ball from Clemens, hung up there, 1-0. Hatterberg is the A that made the comment, gee, Zito against Clemens should be interesting. Cy Young against Cy Old. He didn't mean it in a derogatory way, but the press jumped on it, and he said, I really didn't mean anything negative about it. I just mean that Clemens is older. And everybody knew what he meant, but it certainly gave them some fodder for the newspapers and radio.
He meant not to make Roger Clemens mad at him. What he meant.
And then the first at bat that he has against Clemens after calling him Cy Old, he hits a home run. Yeah. So worked out for Hatterberg. And Bobby's right. You don't want to get Clemens mad at you. The 2-1. Round to the second. Bobbled by Soriano, but he takes his time and throws the first 2 away.
Willie Randolph working extensively, you know, with Alfonso Soriano, and that is one of the problems that Soriano has. You see how he fielded that ball. He did not bend his knees at all, and that's one of the things that Willie said, get down. Get that hiney down and get those legs down and get down on that ball, and he was trying to field it almost stiff-legged. And Soriano has also said that one of the problems that he has defensively is that the routine ground ball gives him a problem.
Chavez has a 1-0 count and pitch. It's now 2-0.
Another look at Soriano. See, it's almost like he fielded that stiff-legged. You gotta have a lot of flexibility in those knees and legs.
2-1.
I wouldn't be surprised if Willie, after this inning is over with, goes over and says, well, you were a little stiff-legged there. Just to remind him that he needs to be more flexible.
And Willie is an authority. He's had more games at second base than any Yankee in history.
He is slick. I mean, he was one of the slickest fielders I've ever seen around that bag.
Well, back in his prime, they had two pretty good second basemen in the American League, Willie Randolph and Frank White, and they kept meeting in the postseason. Frank White with the Kansas City Royals. Yankees seem to knock them off every single year. 76, 77, and 78. And the 2-2. Still 2-2. Chavez has good numbers against Clemens, 6 for 19. And he's the new number 3 hitter as they drop Tejada down to the cleanup spot. Usually they put the best hitter at number 3, and Tejada has certainly not been that, hitting just 190. The 2-2. A high pop-up in the infield. Soriano backing up and makes the play in short right center for the final out of the inning. A 1-2-3 inning for Clemens and the Yankees. We played one here at a sunny Oakland Coliseum. Yankees nothing and the A's nothing. We go to the second inning here at the Network Associates Coliseum. No score. And Hideki Matsui will dig in. And you really have to be something different to be on Planet Zito. He is out there. Looks like he combs his hair with a shoe. Very different sort of guy, the way he dresses and the way he acts. He pretty much beats to his own drum. And the pitch to Matsui is high.
Combs his hair with a shoe.
It looks like it. Looks like combing his hair is not an option.
I thought it was the style today.
There's a strike.
Talk about that curveball that he has. From a hitter standpoint, especially from the left-handed hitter, you see the curveball.
Pitch is outside, 3-1.
See the curveball right in this area here from the left-hander. That's where your eye first picks it up, then you see it down here.
Goes with the fastball there, strike, and the count 3-2. And Matsui works a walk. Obviously, the second time Matsui has seen Zito, a little bit more comfortable, more aware of what he throws and the break on it.
Well, I'm not so sure how comfortable he is, but at least it is the second time around that he has had a chance to face Zito and get a little bit of an idea of what he does throw and how he approaches left-handed hitters. Zito's still very stingy here at the Coliseum. His earned run average only 1.23.
Mondesi has been red hot. 6 for 14 on this trip. And the pitch is inside, 1-0.
You can run on Zito. You can also run on Johnson. I mean, Zito's 6'4", a little over 215 pounds, but he doesn't have a great move to first base.
Nice pitch on the outside corner. Backdoor breaking ball to count 1-1. Johnson has had 5 runners try to steal on him. All 5 have been successful. Took something off that pitch, and Mondesi way out in front.
Well, he has command of the pitches that we were talking about. This is the changeup.
He's tough. He has it all. Good fastball, good curve, and change. Throws him at any time in the count. Blocked there by Johnson. Count 2-2. Zito's record lifetime is 52-19. Now, you might say, well, is that significant? Well, get this. With a minimum of 50 wins, making you eligible to qualify for this, he has the greatest winning percentage in the history of baseball. 52-19. And Bobby, during the Open, said last year Zito won his first Cy Young. He didn't say won a Cy Young, because you really do think that Zito's going to win more. He's going to win more than just one. And you see the most wins by the age of 25, and Barry Zito's going to be 25 on Tuesday. Right Gooden obviously just blew everybody away with 100, but Zito right there with everybody else. Pop foul.
Yeah, well, you can also start talking about maybe he is next in line, even though he has that 75 on his back, being the first guy to, the next guy to throw a no-hitter. He's got that kind of stuff.
Well, it won't be today because Posada has already doubled in the first inning. But he's the type of pitcher that every time he's on the mound, you say, oh, he's got no-hit stuff. Some days his stuff is better than others, but all the time his stuff really is exquisite.
Well, he's the type of pitcher that when he's on the mound, you know you have a chance to win. He's always going to give you a shot to win.
Mondesi really battling Zito.
Early on, Zito has not featured that curveball that much. He's gone with a changeup and the fastball.
Well, Bobby talked about a chance to win. The A's have 3 pitchers in their rotation each time they think they're going to win, and that's quite a thing to have. Lofted to left field. Singleton is there. 1 away.
And the changeup again. You can see the hitter way out at front and not able to drive the ball. But Zito's part of what they call the big 3. That's how to refer to their pitching staff here in Oakland as the big 3. Even though Lilly and Harang are part of that 5-man rotation. But that's the big 3 that they talk about. Hudson, Zito, and Mulder. Mulder pitching tomorrow afternoon. Check those numbers out.
Bubba Trammell swings and misses. Well, for further proof of how good the big 3 is, the A's kind of stumbled out of the gate at the beginning of the season. But if you take their record from April 16th to this point, today's May 10th, the A's trio is 9-1 with a 1.39 ERA in 13 starts. And that's tough to beat. In fact, if you take it all the way back to May 25th of last year, which is fair, you know what their record is? 57-10 with a 2.06 ERA. So it's almost impossible for this A's team to get into any extended losing streak. Upstairs. Trammell looked like he had a big 3-run home run in the last game that Zito pitched. He really tattooed the ball. Zito thought it was gone. Trammell thought it was gone. It would have given the Yankees a 3-2 lead in the 7th, but it died in Death Valley, and that was the only threat for the Yanks. Trammell was in the original lineup as the DH, so Joe Torre was going to sit down Nick Johnson, despite the fact that Nick Johnson has been very hot of late. Nick's on deck, but Nick was put back in the lineup when they had to scratch Jason Giambi.
That's pretty much the move that he has to first base. It's very deliberate. No deception. There's Jason sitting with those glasses on.
Swing and a miss, and Trammell down on strikes.
Now this is what you see from the right side, and the changeup swung on and missed. Fastball's about 88, 90 miles an hour. The changeup's about 10 miles an hour, 10, 11 miles an hour less than that. And then the big looping curveball.
Here's Nick Johnson. And the pitch is a strike.
A lot of times left-handers, when you look at Zito's numbers, left-handers have a little bit more success against Zito than right-handers. I mean, that sounds crazy, but that's the way the numbers stack up. And one of the things that makes that true is he won't throw the changeup to the left hand, but he'll throw that big curveball. Never up here and down here.
And for those that are new to the game, a left-handed pitcher does not like to throw a changeup to a left-handed hitter, because a changeup from a left-handed pitcher will go down and into the wheelhouse of a left-handed batter. It moves down and away to a right-hander, so you kind of take away that pitch if you're left-handed. That is sliced. Foul. Just missed the double by a couple of inches. Third base umpire Jim Joyce right there.
Nice effort by Chavez, coming right at you. You can see the inside-out swing and how it's slicing away. I'd say about 3 inches. Nice call by Joyce. That inside-out swing by Johnson, he's just trying to wait as long as he can before he commits to swinging the bat. That's what you have to do against Zito.
Fastball high, 1-2.
The reason that curveball is so unhittable is because we were talking about when the hitter sees it, it's up here. So in your mind, you're computing all of that, and you think it's going to be high, and then it has that big dip to it.
1-2. Outside, 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Matsui is on first. We're in the top of the second inning. Yankees and the A's, no score. Just got a piece of that, fouling it back.
Probably the best thing that could happen to the Yankees is to make Zito work. And he has already thrown a lot of pitches in this inning.
And if the A's have a weakness, as Bobby is alluding to, it's their bullpen. You'd much rather face the pitchers in their bullpen than Zito, Hudson, or Mulder. That is laced into left field. A nice piece of hitting by Nick Johnson, a single in front of Burns. Matsui stops at second. So runners on first and second, 2 outs. And that'll bring up Eric Almonte.
Even against some of the best pitchers, take a look at that curveball. How much it dips and inside outing it. Nick Johnson, nice piece of hitting by Johnson.
Here's Eric Almonte. Over his last 7 games, Almonte 8 for 20. He also has 8 multi-hit games this year. That's the second most by anybody from the 9th spot after Ray Ordonez of the Devil Rays. And Ordonez just went on the DL with a bad knee. He's been having a great season for Lou Piniella. So Almonte is in his penultimate game as a Yankee. Tomorrow will be it. And then on Tuesday, when Jeter comes back, Almonte will go down to Columbus. There's a strike. Nice breaking ball, 0-2.
They just don't have that kind of pitch down in Columbus on AAA. But that's what happens. You know, you see it up here, and then it breaks down in the strike zone. You give up on it as the hitter.
Yankees have a threat. First and second, 2 outs. And the 0-2. He struck him out. Zito comes up with a big K to get out of trouble. That is his 3rd strikeout of the afternoon, and Almonte goes down. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 men left. We go to the bottom of the second. Yankees nothing, A's nothing.
Well, fans, tune in tomorrow for an evening of great television on Yes. First at 7:30, it's the premiere of the 4th installment of the history of the Yankees, 1980 to 2002. Then at 8:30, join my colleague Michael Kay as he sits down for an hour of conversation with Yankees fan Billy Crystal on center stage. It's an evening of great television tomorrow starting at 7:30, and it's only on Yes.
We go to the bottom of the second inning. Miguel Tejada will lead off against the Rocket, Roger Clemens. And that one's fouled off. Laz Diaz is behind the plate. He's the home plate umpire that will work this pitcher's duel. Jim Reynolds at first, Dale Scott at second, and Jim Joyce over third. Here's Laz. Laz made a name for himself at the old Comiskey Park, or what used to be called Comiskey Park. A fan came out of the stands and latched onto his leg. And Laz Diaz was the first base umpire and used some of his Marine training and pinned the fan down immediately with some help from the Royals players. Way outside. It's very odd to see 190 under the average of Miguel Tejada, last year's MVP.
Those are not MVP numbers. Obviously, Tejada struggling and has been all year long. Even though it's early, last night's contest, he did not hit the ball that well. In fact, he got jammed quite a few times. That's how they pitch. He may want to stay right in on the hands. Busty with fastballs and then go away with the breaking stuff.
Take a look at the last 4 years for him. He's built up most of the years. In 308 last year, 34 homers, 131 ribbies. About that. His teammates are trying to take a lot of the pressure off of Tejada.
I'm talking to Thad Bosley, who's the hitting instructor. He's talking about the right hand, how he overlaps or cups the right hand on the bat. And by doing that, it allows the bat not to really freely flow through the strike zone. So Bosley picked that up on some videotape. They've been working on that and trying to break him of the habit.
Check swing on the splitter. Did he go? No, he did not. The count is full at 3-2.
Just his natural swing when he gets ready and puts the bat into the hitting position. He lays it off. He doesn't lays it off, but he overlaps it. And he starts with his top hand actually overlapping the bat. You can see how much he's got it up on top of the bat handle.
Fouled away. Well, Tejada knows he is slumping, and his teammates are saying, listen, he carried us last year, and now we'll carry him.
This doesn't allow, see it's an overlapping. And then it causes the bat not to get through the strike zone quickly.
Now, has he always hit like that, and now it's just affecting him this year, or has he fallen into a bad habit?
Well, I mean, according to Bosley, he was saying, well, we're looking at every little thing that Miguel is doing now, obviously because he is struggling, and we picked that up from some at-bats that he had last year during his most valuable player season as compared to today. I mean, it's a very technical thing.
3-2. Popped up. So Clemens wins the battle. Mondesi, 1 away. Sometimes you have to watch for that, Bobby, because then it becomes paralysis by analysis.
Well, that could be too. That could be only. They don't go into extremes, you know, to try to change something like that. It may be just the way he grips the bat before he gets to the batter's box. But if you'll see Miguel Tejada, he is being jammed quite a bit now, unable to get that bat head out.
0 for 4 last night, so he is 0 for 1 today. And here's a Rubio Durazo. Pitch is low, 1-0. Pitch. There's a strike, 1-1. Billy Beane, the general manager of the A's, worked for years to get Durazo. Durazo is his type of player. High on base percentage, works the count. Finally was able to acquire him during this offseason. And Durazo has been everything he could have expected. He's always been somewhat fragile injury-wise, but not this year. He's played in every single game that the A's have played. Splitter, and Durazo swings over the top, 2 away.
The organization under Billy Beane, obviously, they're looking for somebody that they can afford to have on this low payroll, but they're also looking for not necessarily the guy that's going to be the big slugger and drive the ball out of the ballpark. On-base percentage, you don't get too much on-base percentage with those types of pitches.
Great splitter by Clemens. So 2 down, that'll bring up Terrence Long. Long with the inside the park home run yesterday in the 8th inning. A 2-run shot past a diving Bernie Williams. Before the game, Joe Torre said, I understand why Bernie did it. He said, and I don't mind the fact that he dived. He said, but I would have rather him keep the ball in front of him rather than try to knock it down with his glove. Well, Bernie was thinking, well, we're down by 3 runs anyway. We can't allow this run to score. I have to make the catch. So instead of 1 run scoring, it was 2. Really, what's the big deal at that point?
Sometimes those balls knuckle when they come out there like that. And Bernie may have been one of those knuckleballs that kind of knuckled back away from him. He thought he may have been in front of it. But you're right. Once you make that commitment to come in, I mean, you got to come on in and try to knock that ball down the best you can.
Long said he had never hit an inside the park home run in any level of ball, little league, high school, in the minors. Doesn't have great numbers against Clemens either. He said he gave out between second and third. Couldn't breathe. The 2-1. 2-2.
You can always see they start running. They're a little bit crossed over and really in that runner's stance. But by the time they hit mid-shortstop at third base, they're standing straight up.
Sucking wind at that point.
Sucking wind, and all the muscles are tight.
And the 2-2. Strike 3 inside corner, long down looking, and Clemens looks sharp. 3 strikeouts for Roger Clemens. We played 2 in Oakland. Yankees nothing, the A's nothing. Stadium on Sunday, May 18th, when the Yankees host the Texas Rangers. All fans 14 and under are going to receive a Robin Ventura replica baseball bat, courtesy of Fleet Bank. Tickets are going fast, so you better act now. Visit the stadium ticket window, Yankees clubhouse shops. Call Ticketmaster at 212-307-1212 or log on to Yankees.com. And the pitch to Soriano. Driven out to left center field and deep. Singleton is there, backpedaling, still backpedaling, and makes the play in the middle of the warning track for the first out of the inning. So Soriano gave it a ride, but too much ballpark out there.
Well, that's what you want to do from the Yankee offense. Is Soriano selecting to go after the first pitch. He got a pretty good pitch to hit off of Zito. Just not far enough, right in the middle of the warning track. That ball looks like it had some carry to it.
Here's Todd Zeile, and there's a strike. Yankees might have 2 new players when the homestand opens on Tuesday. They'll definitely have Derek Jeter if everything goes well today and tomorrow. And there's a good chance that Jose Contreras will rejoin the team. Ground ball to first, Durazo. He'll take it himself, 2-1. Contreras pitched for Columbus last night, pitched well. And he will come up and move right back into the Yankee bullpen. And then shortly thereafter, Antonio Osuna is due up as the Yankees try to strengthen, which is what is arguably the weakest part of their team, the bullpen right now.
Well, they'd like to just put their team together the way they designed it out of spring training, and it hasn't been intact since opening day.
Now, it's going to be a while before it's totally intact because Steve Carsey is a while away. If they get him back by the All-Star break, they would be thrilled. And he has problems with his shoulder. Pitch to Posada is a strike. Posada doubled to left center in the first inning past a diving Eric Burns. Really into the gap in left center. So in the strange position of batting in the number 3 hole today because of the injury to Giambi, or the eye infection.
I think from a hitter's standpoint also, that you have to just go up there, and I hate to say this word, I think you have to guess till you get 2 strikes on you off of Zito. You got to look for something that you think he's going to throw and guess the location.
Just missed outside. Crowd wanted that one, and the count 1-2.
When he misses, that's how he misses, just barely outside. I mean, he was trying to paint the corner, or at least get Posada to chase something he couldn't drive.
And the count levels at 2-2.
The reason I say I hate the word guess, because I don't like hitters going up and guessing. I mean, you guess when you're ahead in the count.
Breaking ball, strike 3.
There
Posada guessed wrong.
There it is.
So a strikeout, looking at a strikeout number 4 for Barry Zito. We played 2.5 innings here in Oakland. It's the Yankees nothing, Oakland nothing. You're watching Yankees baseball on Yes. Hey, Yankee fans, for the latest news, player updates, and Yankee merchandise, all you have to do is visit Yankees.com, the official site of the New York Yankees. We go to the bottom of the 3rd inning here in Oakland. And the green and gold is out in force today on a beautiful day, Saturday, here in the Bay Area. 6 up, 6 down against Clemens. Here's Eric Burns. And the pitch is a strike.
We were talking about keeping the team intact. The Oakland A's are not intact either. Their right fielder, Jermaine Dodge, has had a bad knee, is out on the disabled list and expected to be out several weeks. So Eric Byrne getting his shot.
Popped up. First base side. Nick Johnson's right there. One away. So Burns, who is wound tight, pops up to first base with the first out. So 7 up, 7 down for Clemens. Here's Chris Singleton. This is perfect weather for a pitcher. Not too cold, not too hot. You stay fresh. You're not going to sweat out your last couple of innings. A beautiful, beautiful day to pitch. And there's a strike to Singleton.
Yeah, like you were talking about getting to the ballpark early this morning, I guess it was. There were several people in the parking lot tailgating and cooking and preparing for today's game. I mean, it's a real event when they come to a game here at the Coliseum, especially on a day like this.
The fans here are somewhat volatile, Bobby. Some of them are the same fans as the noted Oakland Raider fans. That one's driven deep to left center field. Giving chase, Bernie Williams and Matsui, and Matsui can't make the play. Williams will play it off the wall, flip it into Almonte, and Singleton is on with a double.
If the ball does carry here at the Coliseum, it carries better in the daytime than nighttime. And Singleton going the opposite way. He's only got 1 home run. Is not really noted for any power. That ball just kept going and going and going. And it got past Matsui. Made a nice effort. He just ran out of room.
Here's Mark Johnson. Runs the hands up the bunt, takes a strike.
I don't know why he would be bunting unless he's bunting for a base hit. There's no sacrifice here. 1 man out, man at second base. He needs to drive the run in. He's just probably trying to get comfortable against Clemens. That's the only thing I can see.
Got him. Couldn't get out of the way, so Johnson is hit by a pitch. Crowd's booing, but I highly doubt that Roger Clemens is hitting the number 9 hitter on purpose.
Well, you can see Posada moved inside for the fastball inside. He just got it in a little bit too far.
So this is Clemens' first jam, first and second with 1 out.
Bosley, the hitting instructor, teaches these hitters, especially from the right side, to stay on top of the ball and inside it, which would promote hitting the ball to the opposite field, looking for the ball to be hit to the opposite field.
Pitch to Ellis is upstairs, so now the count 2-0. Clemens really working himself into trouble. Hopped him up, left side. Almonte shading his eyes, battling the sun, and he'll put it away for the second out of the inning.
It's not easy. You need help from the other partners around you. When that ball goes up, you have to shade your eyes, which he's doing right there from the sun. And then there's nothing to bounce the ball off of. I mean, like a cloud or so in the sky. So you got that big blue sky you're looking up at.
Bobby, isn't it odd that he doesn't have sunglasses on?
Yes, it is.
No flip downs, no wraparounds. It's very strange. I mean, this is a very bad sky. I'm very surprised. Here's Hatteberg. There's a strike. Is there any way that he could think it could be easier to shade with the glove?
Well, I'm sure they always check the sun and the position of the sun and anticipate how the ball is going to be going up in the air and whether they will be distracted. Obviously, he feels comfortable without the shades on.
Todd Zeal has the wraparound shades. Soriano has the flips. Nick Johnson not wearing sunglasses. Matsui has the wraparounds. Bernie the wraparounds. And Mondesi the stylish wraparounds. We'll have to talk to Nick Johnson and Almonte tomorrow and ask them why.
Well, a lot of guys are bothered by those sunglasses, and if you don't think you need them, they don't wear them. I couldn't. I don't think that I could get used to wearing sunglasses while I hit. There's a lot of guys that wear sunglasses even at the plate.
That seems to have come to the fore in the last couple of years. I would think that'd be very difficult, but some guys say it takes away all the glare while you're at the plate. First and second with 2 outs. Hatterberg against the man he calls Cy Old. Here's your Old. Splitter swung on a miss, and that will do it as Clemens works out of problems. No runs a hit, no errors, and 2 men left. We played 3 good innings here in Oakland. We said pitcher's duel. So far, it's lived up to that. Yankees nothing, the A's nothing. You're watching the Yankees on Yes. We'll find out in the bottom of the 4th. And the pitch to Bernie Williams a little bit low. So we advertise it as a marquee pitching matchup, and so far, living up to that. Yesterday, the same thing, at least to the bottom of the 8th inning, as Hudson and Weaver threw a lot of zeros up on the board. Fouled away. The big questioning of Weaver after the game, Bobby, was why he came out to pitch the 8th, because he was over 100 pitches, and he defended that. He said, I felt great. He said the only thing was that our top of the 8th inning was about 8 pitches. He said I came right back out on the mound. He said, but I wanted to pitch that bottom of the 8th, and I should have. I didn't have any less stuff. I just made some mistakes.
He made about 3 mistakes, and every mistake that he made, I'm talking about hanging pitchers that he would like to have back. The A's made him pay for it. Sometimes you get away with them, sometimes you don't, and he was burned on every one of them.
2-1 to Williams. That one's hit deep to left field. If it's fair, it's gone. That ball is gone. See ya. A home run, Bernie Williams. And the Yankees lead 1-0.
Like a fastball that Bernie just reacted to. Inside bit a bit, and Bernie sent it over the left field wall. That's the 6th home run given up by Zito. A look at it from where the Yankees saw it.
It's a Matsui's high. That was hit so hard it couldn't hook foul. 7th home run for Bernie Williams. Now has 26 runs batted in. So the Yankees get their first runs against Zito this year. Zito won that last game 2-0. Keith Falk pitched the 9th. And a 2-0. Missed outside, 3-0.
He was behind Bernie Williams 2-1. Now he's fallen behind Matsui 3-0.
There's a fastball strike.
These are the kind of counts that if you can get them off of Zito that you'd like to be in as a hitter.
Nasty pitch on the black on the outside corner.
He made 2 nasty pitches, the 3-0 and the 3-1.
And the 3-2. Fouled away.
A look at Bernie's home run. We were talking about the Yankees bench and what they saw. And it's still the same.
A majestic parabola. Fouled away. Matsui comes into this game with a 10-game hitting streak. Strangely enough, he's had 2 other lengthy hitting streaks, so very streaky. 10 games, 7 games, and 7 games. 3-2. Hit to second base, a worm burner. Ellis stays with it. 1 away. Zito's dad, Joe, was a musical director for Nat King Cole, worked with Frank Sinatra, has a great musical background. Along with Bobby Mercer, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball right here on the Yes Network on this Saturday afternoon. We certainly thank you for that. And you're seeing a good one. Yankees won, Oakland nothing. The only run of Bernie Williams' home run leading off the 4th. Pitches inside. Joe Zito was in music and then retired at the age of 57 to take over his son's career. And this is when the kid was little, and he just wanted to turn him into a pitcher. Ground ball is short. Tahara across the diamond. 2 away. In fact, he read an ad in the San Diego Union, which is a newspaper in San Diego. Small ad. Pitching lessons, $50 an hour. And he took Barry Zito there, and the guy teaching was former Cy Young Award winner Randy Jones. And he won the 1976 Cy Young Award, and Jones taught him over a number of years and turned out a Cy Young Award winner.
Got his education at the University of Southern California, USC. And they produced a couple of more Cy Youngs over there, too. Jack McDowell, another guy by the name of Tom Seaver.
Pretty good.
USC down.
Count evens at 1-1. There's Joe Zito, Barry's father. When Zito made the big leagues, his father said, all right, you're in the door. Then when he made the All-Star game, he said, okay, now you're on the first floor. And in the Zito building, the penthouse is the Hall of Fame. Bubba Trammell has worked the count even.
Well, at only 24 years of age, he'll be 25 on Tuesday. He's got a long ways to go, especially if he wants to match a guy like his opponent today, Roger Clemens.
2-2. 3-2. Nick Johnson's on deck. He struck him out. Looked like the changeup on the outside part of the plate. Strikeout number 5 for Barry Zito. But the Yankees get on the board with 1 swing. The swing by Bernie Williams. A fastball, he redirects it the other way. A long home run number 7. And the Yankees lead 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the 4th. 4th inning, Clemens started him with a pitch upstairs, so the count 1-0. Chavez is 0 for 1, popped to second. And there he swings over a splitter in the count 1-1.
Well, Clemens is probably saying, well, my last 2 starts, I didn't get any runs. I finally got one, so it's up to me to protect it.
Make it stand up.
Yeah, to run in a game like this here is pretty big.
1-1. Driven out to right center field. Bernie Williams giving chase on the run. He's there, 1 away. Take a look at the Aflac trivia answer. We gave you the question in the top of the 4th inning, and the question revolves around that battery. Jorge Posada has caught the most games for Roger Clemens with 113. We want to know who has caught the second most. How about Rich Gedman with the Red Sox?
Wrong.
Wrong. Tony Pena with the Red Sox, 111. You knew that one?
I didn't know that one.
You knew I was wrong, though.
I knew you were wrong.
Took some perverse joy in that, it sounds like.
There was no joy at all. Just I didn't have a buzzer, so I just said wrong. Tahada
with an 0-1 count, and Clemens deals. 0-2.
Well, you could just imagine what Tejada is going through after the statement by the club in spring training, which everybody knows by now that they are not going to sign the most valuable player of last year. They don't have the money to sign him, so he's playing in a lame duck season on a lame duck team.
Popped up right field. Tejada is now 0 for 6 in this series. 2 away.
And you wonder why they would make a statement like that. You wonder why they would take a guy of his talent, being young, a guy that they could trade. I know public relations wise it wouldn't be that good a thing, but look what Seattle has done. Look at the pages that they have turned with the Griffeys and the Johnsons and the Alex Rodriguez's.
Well, Bobby, the conspiracy theory here in Oakland is that they, in order to spur on the local government to maybe give them a stadium so that they could compete in these big money bidding wars.
What?
And that didn't work. It backfired on them because in the economic times right now, I don't think any public built stadiums are going to happen for a while. And they do not have a favorable lease here in Oakland. This building really gives everything to the Oakland Raiders. All the signage, all the luxury boxes, everything. And the A's are really the secondary tenants. There's a strike.
I'm talking about keeping the team improved over the years. If you know you're not going to sign a player, it's extremely difficult to make the choice that, well, we need to go ahead and see what we can do.
There's a ground ball to second base. Soriano is right there. And an easy 1-2-3 inning for Roger Clemens and the New York Yankees. We played 4 here in Oakland. It's a good one. On a Bernie Williams home run, Yankees lead 1-0 as we go to the 5th. Thank you, Fred. Bobby has his shoes off, dangling his feet in the water. It's great. Boy, did Mike Piazza need that home run. And so did the Mets need that victory. Nick Johnson leads off the count 1-0. 1-3-0 for the Yankees, 0-1-0 for the A's. Nick Johnson, a late addition to the lineup, has picked up 1 hit, a single to left field. Joe Torre was asked before the game, is this a strict platoon? Because Nick Johnson was not in the original lineup. He said, no, Nick's going to play the majority of the games, but when there's a lefty, it doesn't make sense for me not to play Bubba Trammell. Why wouldn't I? There's a hot shot to short. Tejada is there. 1 away. He said, but if we're in a stretch where we're going to have a lot of lefties in a row, then Nick is going to play some of those games because I don't want him to sit out all the time. And Joe said, an interesting decision I have to make is tomorrow. This is before he added Nick late after Giambi was scratched. Will I start him tomorrow against Mulder? And Nick wants to play. Nick was very disappointed in last night's game because he has not seen lefties, Bobby. He felt he didn't have a good at-bat against Ricardo Rincon. And that's what happens sometimes. A little bit low.
And Joe normally likes to go with the hot hand. And, you know, nobody's been swinging the bat any better than Nick Johnson. Mostly against, you know, right-handed pitchers, obviously. But I think he just saw that there was an opportunity to get some at-bats for Bubba Trammell.
1-1. You know, some managers do that, though. What they'll do is they'll put in a left-handed batter against righties, build up their confidence, and then slowly spot them against certain lefties where they think they could do fairly well. And a classic example of this was what Buck Showalter did with Paul O'Neill. O'Neill was becoming a platoon player in Cincinnati, could not hit lefties. And Buck played him against righties, had him build up his average over 300, feel good about things, and then slowly but surely, he made his way into the lineup over the course of the year every single day. There's a strike. But sometimes, Bobby, and you lived through this with your teammate Ron Blomberg, you never become a full-time player. Ron Blomberg never really played against lefties. He was a platoon left-handed batter. Blomberg, for those that are young, a great left-handed hitter with the Yankees, the first designated hitter of all time, but he never really played full-time. Inside, so Almonte walks.
I don't think that Joe thinks that Nick Johnson can't hit left-handers. I think it was just an opportunity. You know, he does that every once in a while where he will take a game out of a 3-game series and he'll set one of the 2 or 3 guys down and give them, you know, a day off against maybe a tough guy and get somebody else in that bat. You know, it's a half a dozen one or the other when you have a bench such as he has with right-handed hitters over there. You got to try to keep them sharp too. Like Wilson played last night, Almonte sat down. Almonte's playing today.
And he's been platooning a lot at third base, playing Zeal against the left-handers. And this way he thinks that Ventura will be fresh for the end run. In the last couple of years, in August and September, Ventura has certainly taken a dive average and production-wise. And they're thinking maybe it's because he's getting fatigued. Pitch to Soriano as a strike. Soriano against Zito is 1 for 15 lifetime. Soriano's had an outstanding year. Let's look at his rankings. First in total bases, tied for first in hits, tied for first in multi-hit games, tied for second with 11 home runs, tied for second with 30 runs scored. Popped up. Short center field. Singleton was playing deep, now comes in. He'll put it away for the second out of the inning. He's now 1 for 16 against Zito. Well, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the aforementioned New York Yankees. A lot of Yankee fans in the crowd. They were saying yesterday was about 50-50. We're 3,000 miles away from the Bronx. Here's Todd Zeal, 0 for 2. Pitch is high.
That's one of the high curveballs that actually didn't break down. But he has such great arm motion with all of his pitches. The fastball, the curveball, and the change. He got Soriano out with the change. Same speed. Same release point.
And the count is 3-0.
Well, you got to love to play behind Zito. When you're a defensive player behind a pitcher who works quickly and also throws strikes, it keeps you on your toes. You're not out there wondering what's going on or what you're going to have to eat tonight.
And he walked Zeal on 4 straight pitches. Second walk of the inning. Third walk of the game. And that puts a runner in the scoring position for the Yankees with Posada coming up. Ken Maka, first-year Oakland manager. The A's let Art Howe get away to New York. Maka, his longtime bench coach, gets his first managerial shot. Posada's 1 for 2, double to left center, struck out looking at a breaking ball. And there's that breaking ball for a strike. .361 in these spots, runners in scoring position. Pitch is high and the count 1-1.
It's not the one you want. You don't swing at it. You almost have to give Zito a couple of strikes, and boy, that's difficult to do that. But I think you definitely have to look for your pitch, and if you get it, don't miss it.
Punch down the right field line, foul into the Yankee bullpen. Al Reyes catching with a lefty splitter, making a frame. Zito had a rough second inning pitch-wise, a great third, and 20 in the fourth, 19 here in the fifth. Fifth is not yet over.
The last 3 outings, he has barely broken 100 pitches in all 3 outings.
He's at 87 right now. Yankees making him work. 1-2. That one's hit deep to left field. Going back is Burns. Still back, looking up. See ya! A 3-run home run for Jorge Posada. And the Yankees lead 4-0.
Well, that's big for the Yankees. Let's take a look at the pitch by pitch. He started him off with the breaking ball. Another breaking ball missing up high. Then a fastball inside. Then he put one right down the middle. And Jorge put it over the left field wall for a 3-run shot. Big hit. Well, those are big runs for the Yanks.
There's Bernie Williams. And the pitch is inside. Gives Roger Clemens a lot of breathing room, some room to work. Also takes some of the pressure off the bullpen if Roger runs out of gas. So 4-0 here in the top of the 5th inning. There's a ground ball and through for a base hit. Bernie Williams is 2 for 3, and he had come into the game with a 4 for 35 slide. Bobby, they could be doing baseball another 300-400 years, and you could always say the bases are on balls, they just kill you. Look what happened in this inning.
Well, he's thrown a lot of pitches, obviously, and you can see that he was struggling a bit with the strike zone. And then you pretty much set the hitter up in his mind saying, well, he is struggling, so I am going to look for that fastball that I can drive or the pitch that I think that I hit well.
Posada with his 9th home run now has 29 runs batted in, 1 behind team leader Alfonso Soriano. So Rick Peterson comes out to talk with Zito, and Laz Diaz is going to break up that conference in just a moment. It's amazing. They have their back turned to the umpire, and they always know when the umpire is within 2 feet, then they turn and walk to the dugout. The pitcher must say, okay, here he comes.
Since the time is up. Well, you've been out there so many times, you know how long you have to stand out there to talk to your pitcher. Or at least you can sense it.
Pitch to Matsui is a strike. Yankees now with 60 home runs, 2 today, pull them to within 1 of the Major League leading Texas Rangers. But if you look at the standings, the Rangers are in last place, so it shows you home runs don't win games. Home runs help pitching win games, and the Rangers don't have the pitching. They're last in the West.
Good time for Bernie to take a shot and go to second base. Matsui down the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. If Bernie doesn't make it, then Matsui can lead off the next inning with a fresh count. Yankees leading 4-0.
Strike 3 inside corner, and Matsui down looking. That is strikeout number 6 for Barry Zito. But a big inning for the Yankees. 3 runs on 2 hits. The big hit, a 3-run home run by Jorge Posada. Yankees lead 4-0 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Pitch to Terrence Long is a little bit inside, 1-0. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. The strength of 2 home runs, Yankees lead 4-0. A Bernie Williams solo shot, Posada 3-run shot. Rip foul. So Roger Clemens at win number 297, looking for 298. Long struck out looking in the 2nd. One. There's a strike, and the count 1-2.
Talked earlier about Posada being the catcher that has caught more starts from Roger Clemens than anybody in his career. And Clemens has praised Posada numerous times.
Punches it out toward short. Almonte charges, Fields fires, 1 away.
Praised Posada numerous times on how he calls the game, how he sets the game up for he and Roger. And that's really a comforting level for a pitcher to know that he has the confidence as a catcher to put down the right signs, the right location, and all you worry about is pitching.
Well, one of the big reasons that Clemens wanted to come back to the Yankees this year was he wanted to have Posada catch his 300th win, and he wanted to do it on Mel Stottlemyre's watch. That one's hit deep to left field. Going back, Matsui on the track at the wall, and it's off the top of the wall. Matsui feels barehanded and gets it in, and Burns missed a home run by a couple of inches. So he gets himself a double.
Well, Matsui has got the beat on it. Unfortunately, he's going to run out of room, but watch this barehanded grab off the wall as it caroms. That's probably about 1.5 feet, is it?
I think less.
Less, absolutely less. Maybe about 1.5 inches.
Pretty good reaction there by Matsui to grab the ball barehanded. So a double, that'll bring up Chris Singleton, and the pitch is outside.
Well, if you think about it, Matsui, if he doesn't hang on to that ball barehanded with Burns' speed, he probably goes to third.
And the 1-0. 2-0.
What the Yankee offense has over this Oakland offense is power up and down the lineup. The Yankees almost 22, well, they are 22 home runs ahead of this Oakland offense in the home run department.
Knocked straight back here.
It's tougher for them to get back into a ball game because they got to rely more on the doubles, the gappers, and the singles, especially when Tejada's not hitting. I mean, he really puts that equation for the long ball way down for the offense.
And the count levels at 2-2. Clemens has thrown 69 pitches. 45 strikes, 24 balls. That one's driven to right field in deep. Going back, Mondesi got a good jump. He's there, and he'll make the play. Burns tags. He'll go to third. So a long out for Singleton, and now the A's have a runner on third base and 2 outs for Mark Johnson.
This used to be the Coliseum, a hard place to pick the ball up at home plate because out here in this area used to be concrete before they built this new addition in center field. And now the batter's eye is well formed, and the hitters don't have a problem with, especially on a day like today that has a lot of glare to it. Oh, and that concrete was out there. I mean, that sunshine used to just glare off the concrete. It was very difficult to pick the ball up. Ever had that concrete walkway or runway up? Went up center field?
And there was a terrible glare off of it.
Terrible. Al Davis took care of that for them.
Got a lot of money to take care of it. And the pitch is high. Now he's suing the city of Oakland again, saying that they reneged on some of the promises for attendance. So who knows if the Raiders will be on the run again, and then that structure will be off or not.
Well, for baseball, those seats are just non-existent, really. I mean, how would you like to have a seat up in there for a game? You got to bring a pretty powerful binocular with you.
There was a game last year or the year before where there are people up here for a Yankee game, and you just can't see this part of the outfield and back. You just can't see it because it's blocked off. Driven out to left field, coming on Matsui, and he makes the play for the final out of the inning. So Mark Johnson hit it hard, but Matsui got a good jump and hauled it in. No runs a hit, no errors, and 1 man left after 5. Clemens pitching a shutout. Matsui helping out. We go to the 6th inning. It is the Yankees 4 and the A's nothing. You're watching the Yankees on the Yankee Entertainment and Sports Network. We go to the 6th inning. Raul Mondesi will lead off for the Yankees. Bottom of the 5th inning ended with a nice catch by Hideki Matsui to get Clemens out of trouble. Pitch to Mondesi, a strike. Right after the inning was over, Clemens sought out Matsui. And good job in any language. Pitch is inside. Matsui has shown a lot more defensively than the Yankees expected and had heard. Everything that I heard over the winter was, well, he can hit, But he is going to have a lot of problems defensively. Not very good in the outfield. We have not seen that at all.
Actually saved a run from going to third base with one out with that play, barehanded Karam.
Grounded to third. Chavez across the diamond. One away.
And Matsui saving a run here on this line drive that off the bat of Johnson. In order to make that play there, you've got to be moving in. He saw the ball well off the bat, and that's pretty hard to do when it's from the opposite side. So great instincts, great jumps.
He does have very good instincts in the outfield, and he has not been burned at all. And pitched to Bubba Trammell as a strike. He just seems like he knows what he's doing out there. He doesn't get bad jumps. He doesn't misjudge the ball. He throws to the right base and the cutoff man properly all the time.
In Joe Torre's office before today's ball game, we were talking about the matchup today of Zito and Clemens and all the classic matchups over the years. And Leonard Coppett was in there, former writer for the New York Times.
That one's hit deep to left field. Going back is Burns on the track at the wall. He leaps and he makes the play. He made the play, robbing Bubba Trammell of a home run. Beautiful play by Eric Burns.
Well, you were talking about Burns being wound tight. He is not afraid of the wall either, and he times this perfectly. What a play to rob Trammell of a home run. He's got it timed right, and the leap and the catch, and he hangs on to it. A lot of times when that wrist hits the wall, it throws the ball out of the glove, but not that time. That'll be on a highlight reel. Good play.
Breaking ball that Nick Johnson is high. Trammell not too pleased and a little shocked.
So anyway, we were talking about the classic matchups, and Leonard Coppett said the one he remembers is when Marichal Warren Spahn hooked up for that 16-inning game. And I think Willie Mays hit the home run to win the game. 16 innings, both of them went and pitched through 200 pitches apiece in that game.
It would never happen again.
So I asked Joe Torre, I said, well, would you ever let a pitcher, what would happen if you let a pitcher go 200 innings? Would you ever do that? He said, only in the final year of my contract.
3-1. Nick Johnson walks. So Nick Johnson in a start against a very tough lefty is 1 for 2 with a walk.
I don't think Nick Johnson is bothered by anybody, either right side or left side, the way he is hitting and the way he has matured and come on this year. The presence at home plate and the fact that he has such a great eye there. When you got a great eye, it gives you an opportunity to hit off of anybody because you don't always swing at their pitches. And a lot of times the pitch count is in your favor. This is the second time that Peterson, not in this inning, but has been out there to talk to Zito. And this time they're going to let Laz come on out there and break it up.
A lot of that discussion was giving Chad Bradford some time to warm up in the bullpen. That's Chad, the underhanding right-hander. Zito has 106 pitches here in the 6th inning, so a lot of the Yankee game plan was to make Zito throw strikes. He's thrown 62 of them. And they have worked the count every single batter. Swing and a miss.
They're big on the pitch count here in Oakland, too. And when you talk about Mulder and Zito, they really don't throw that many pitches during their courses of 7 or 8 innings, and sometimes complete games. A lot of times under 100 for 8 or 9 innings.
There's a strike. Zito does not have a very good left-hander's move at all. That's why he can run it.
That's also buying time for the guy down the bullpen to get ready.
Those throws to first base are called from the bench.
Yeah.
Strike 3, inside corner. Almonte down looking. Strikeout number 7 for Zito. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left. No runs because of that play. Eric Burns robs Bubba Trammell of a home run. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 4-0 Yankees. Mark Ellis leads off against Clemens, and Clemens starts him with a pitch low. Count on Ellis. Ellis, the leadoff batter in the A's order. He's 0 for 2. Struck out and popped it short. And the 2-0. There's a strike. Well, it's a sellout here in Oakland. 44,486. Yesterday they had a crowd just over 40,000. So they are thrilled when the Yankees come into town. Unfortunately for them, it's just once now with the unbalanced schedule. There's a strike.
Mark Ellis, part of that Johnny Damon trade back in 2001, but the A's like him because he does a lot with the bat. He doesn't try to do more than what he can do offensively. He's a good bunter. He hits it behind the runner.
Grounds run to Almonte. 1 away.
He and Tejada have worked well as a double play combination. Very solid defensively.
You know, Bobby, I misspoke. The Yankees do come back into Oakland this year. This is one of the times they make 2 trips out here. And they will be here at the beginning of August.
It's Seattle that they only make 1 trip.
Right. And last year they made 2 trips to Seattle, so baseball tries to fluctuate it from year to year. Here's Hatterberg, and there's a strike.
When they set the schedule up, normally when the Yankees would come to the West Coast, they would take care of all the West Coast teams. You know, Seattle, Oakland, Anaheim. This year they've been out to Anaheim. They went back to New York, and now back out to Seattle and Oakland.
A slow roller towards second base, charging is Soriano. Underhands to Nick Johnson. 2 away. Made that a little tougher than he should have with the underhand. Clemens has looked sharp. He's pitching a 2-hitter over 5 2/3.
He's got a real good splitter today, and he's got a lot of confidence in throwing that and getting hitters out.
And there's a strike.
Spotting that fastball and then utilizing the splitter, especially as the equalizer against a left-handed hitter.
Line into center field. That's a base hit for Chavez as Bernie fields on a couple of hops.
Your great pitchers don't have great stuff every time with every pitch, so they got to figure out a way to get through it. But they only may have 1 pitch out of the 3 or 4 pitches that they throw that's any good that day.
Come out to Yankee Stadium on Tuesday, May 13th, as the Yankees host the Angels. The first 18,000 fans, 21 and over, will receive a 100th anniversary historic commemorative poster from Budweiser. For tickets, visit the stadium ticket window. Yankees clubhouse shops. Call Ticketmaster 212-307-1212 or log on to Yankees.com. Vincent Tejada's high. Also, other than the historic commemorative poster, if you come out to the stadium on Tuesday, May 13th, for the first time this year, Yankee fans in the Bronx will get a chance to see Derek Jeter play. If all goes well today and tomorrow, he will rejoin the team after coming back from a dislocated left shoulder, which he suffered on opening night in Toronto.
So Torrey's still having a little bit of fun. He said he talked to Derek last night, I guess after the game, and that he told Jeter said, "I'll be back, Skip, on Tuesday. I'm looking back here on Tuesday." Skip said, "Now wait a minute, now don't get so excited about this. You know, we don't normally, when guys come up from Double-A, play them on the first day." He said, "Remember what I said?" I said, "We don't normally. Doesn't mean that we won't."
Well, they have a great relationship, the two of them. Jeter still calls him Mr. Torrey, which is inside.
Also could be the return of Don Zimmer, who's been on the shelf a little bit, but is feeling better. And back home in New York. And of course, we wish Popeye a complete recovery and hope that he will be back in uniform on Tuesday.
And Joe sitting there without Zimmer just seems a little incomplete.
It doesn't look right, does it?
We've seen that picture since 1996. There's a base hit for Tejada to right field. Chavez will go to third. Mondesi gets the ball into second. So Tejada gets his first hit of the series. A single to right field. That puts runners on first and third and brings up Durazo.
Posada sitting outside and wanting it a little bit low, and it's outside, but it's up in the strike zone. And so Tejada this time just throws a bat head out at it. That's the most solid ball that he has hit in this series.
And Mel Stoudemire goes to the bullpen phone, and the Yankees will get somebody up as Stoudemire heads out to the mound. Clemens is at 87 pitches. So you know he's not fatigued, not with 87 pitches. And just like that, Sterling Hitchcock will begin to throw in the Yankee bullpen. And you can see the way they're using Hitchcock of late. He is moving up in the pecking order. He's starting to impress them a little bit more. The more he pitches and the more outs he gets.
Well, you just can't believe that Clemens would be exhausted or even tired at this juncture. He hasn't thrown that many pitches. It's a beautiful day. It's not that hot. There's no humidity here. They've got a 4-0 lead, and I know Rogers' mentality is that when he starts a game, he expects to finish it, which that doesn't happen here at 2003 baseball too many times.
So now a very tough matchup. Clemens against Durazo. First and third with 2 outs. Yankees lead 4-0. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning here in Oakland. Durazo has struck out swinging and grounded to second. And the pitch is outside. And the pitch to Durazo. Splitter, nasty. Swung on and missed.
Get the hitter pulling off, and the ball starts here and then goes down away from you. And you can see how that front shoulder just flew out of the left-handed Durazo.
Clemens splitter to a lefty almost has the same action as the changeup. Down and away. Fouled straight back, and the count 1-2.
Well, he throws his fastball 90 plus, and he'll throw the split finger somewhere around 87, 88 miles an hour. But they throw the splitter a lot harder than they used to throw, you know, the forkball. Obviously, when wedging the ball in between the 2 fingers, first 2 fingers, you couldn't throw it that hard. But the split finger is more or less an overlapping pitch as you grab it by the first 2 fingers. But you can throw it a lot harder.
1-2. Swung and a miss. He struck him out. That was a tailing fastball, and Durazo swings over the top, so Clemens works out of a jam. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 men left. We played 6 innings here in Oakland. Yankees 4, Oakland nothing. Well, we go to the 7th inning, and for the A's, Ken Mock has made the singular call to the bullpen. Singular, the wireless company that fits you best. Chad Bradford, the sidewinding, underhanding right-hander, will come on in relief of Barry Zito. Zito wasn't great. Bradford's numbers this year, 2-2, 3.18, 11 hits in 17 innings. That's good. 8 walks, a little high, and 10 strikeouts. Picked up 1 save. Zito today, 6 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 7 strikeouts, and 4 walks.
You know, Bradford's one of those, you talked about sidewinding. He is submarine, almost drags his knuckle on the mound when he delivers the ball.
Soriano's happy to see Zito go. 0 for 3 against Zito today, and 1 for 16 lifetime. So he'll take the sidewinding right-hander. Pulled the string right there, 1-1.
Pretty good difference between Zito, who released the ball up in this area, and you got
Way inside.
And you have Bradford releasing the ball here. So from a hitter standpoint, if you're trying to figure out where the release point is, look at that.
And the count 3-1. Whip foul. Count is full.
With that type of delivery, the ball naturally comes inside. We'll get another look at how close he does come from scraping those knuckles on the mound. Wow.
Arm's not supposed to bend at that angle.
Ooh. Maybe he's an exception. Obviously he is.
Yankees up 4-0. Swing and a miss, and Soriano down on strikes. He has not had a great road trip so far. 4 for 21.
Well, he was cast into the setup role last year and has done a very nice job. Even though this year the A's have a different closer than what they had last year. Billy Koch was here last year. Folk is here now after they traded respective teams.
Koch now with the White Sox. Here's Todd Zeile, and there's a strike. Inside, 1-1.
The natural movement is to move in on the right-hander, and then when he gets down there and throws that ball that comes like this here, that's the hardest one for the right-hander to hit.
And there's a strike, and they count 1-1.
Then he uses that movement to start it off the outside part of the plate and let it move back over.
When you're up at the plate and the guy is coming underhand or sidearm, is there give? Do you worry about getting hit?
Well, I don't think you worry about.
That one's popped up right side. Durazo, 2-way.
I don't think you worry about his kind of give because he's really underneath. But somebody that's really sidewinding like a Jeff Nelson with
right.
Seattle, sure, you kind of easy on your feet there. But this guy here would be comfortable. The only problem of it is that he has so good a control, and from the right side, you figure the ball's going to be coming in on you anyway, so you prepare for that.
Clemens preparing for the bottom of the 7th inning. Here's Posada, who will be catching that inning. And the pitch is high. Posada has had a good day. A double in the first, struck out looking in the 3rd, then a big 3-run home run in the 5th inning, which gave Clemens some breathing room. His 9th home run of the year. A 1-0. And there's a strike. Missed inside.
Bradford gives you a lot to look at. You know, he's 6'5". You got to have a lot of flexibility in that lower part of your body to be able to get down that low.
Changes speeds a lot. That's what seems to be getting everybody the most. They're way out in front.
Well, that's the breaking ball there, and the breaking ball, he starts on the inside part of the plate, and watch out. We'll get another look at his delivery here and how close he is to the mound. And the breaking ball just keeps riding in on you on the left side.
Line drive off the glove of a diving Chavez. I think Chavez is hurt, and Posada will go to second. Chavez did not see it, and it might have hit off his arm, and he is in a lot of pain right now. We'll see how they score. It should be a double. It was a hot shot, but Chavez didn't see it.
Well, it's that opposite field grounder. I mean, line drive, but that was off the, looked like the hand. I don't think it caught the glove. I think it caught the hand or maybe even the right or left wrist of Chavez. We'll take another look at it and see. That's that slicing blow from the opposite side, and Chavez overdove for it basically, and I think it caught the wrist up above where the glove meets the hand.
This is a better angle. You see where it got him. It got him on the side of the wrist, and you can see the pain.
That's where they're pointing, right there to the side that the wrist and the hand meets. You notice the trainers, wherever you've been hit, the first thing they do is they grab a hold of it and start punching in on it and see if it's hurt. Does it hurt there? Does it hurt there?
Don't you just want to hit the trainer when they do that? Well, they can ill afford to lose Chavez, especially the way Tejada has been playing. Larry Davis, the trainer, looks like he's going to take Chavez into the locker room.
Well, it's a smart thing to do, I think, because it gives the trainers a chance to ice that down to try to minimize the swelling of the hand, and you never know, there could be something broken in there too.
So that could be a very big blow for the A's. Now Jason Grabowski will take over at third base, and he will be slid right into the third spot in the lineup where Chavez vacated.
Another look at it, you can see Chavez, the ball was hit so hard, and he was unable to get his glove up in time as it hit the left side of the wrist.
Well, he knew right away something was up. So they're giving Grabowski some throws across the diamond. Rick Down pencils in Grabowski on the lineup card in the Yankee dugout. Rick Down is the coach that has the honor of writing the lineup card every single day. Joe Torre actually writes it out, but it's Rick Down's penmanship that you see on that dugout wall.
You know, we talked about the high sky and the brightness here at the Coliseum and how difficult it is to pick up the fly ball. Well, even in the stands, you know, there are a lot of white shirts, and even in the stands on a shot like the one that was hit to Chavez, the infielder doesn't always pick it up immediately, and that could have been a problem too for Chavez not gloving it.
There's Bernie Williams. Way inside. Williams 2 for 3, solo home run and a single right. One and one. Bernie grounded to second, the home run, and then the single. One. There's a strike, and the count 1-2. Incidentally, they score that ball off the bat of Posada as a double, as they should. It's an extremely difficult play for Chavez. And if you gave him an error and the injury, that would add insult to injury. One-two. Driven out to right field. That is going to be a base hit. Let's see if they try to score Posada. They do. Here's the throw. Here's the play. It's up the line. Posada scores. Bernie tries to advance to second, and he gets in ahead of the throw. So an RBI single for Bernie Williams. Posada plates, and the Yankees lead 5-0.
Good piece of hitting by Bernie to drive in a run for the Yankees. As Bernie took second on the throws, we'll take another look at Long. Average arms in the outfield. Pretty good outfield, but average arms, and Long, his arms best suited for left field, but the throw back to second base, well, kind of a gingerly tag by Tejada, not one of those slap tags.
They will intentionally walk Matsui, and they'll take their chance with Mondesi. So Matsui, who has a 10-game hitting streak, might see that go by the board, unless the Yankees can get back to him in the 9th inning. The fact that they waived Posada, Bobby, tells you the Yankees really have little respect for Terrence Long's arm, because Posada is possibly the slowest player on the team. And it was a hard-hit line drive to right field, and Willie never hesitated, waving Posada home. And that is one instance where they really do miss Jermaine Dye, who's on the DL because of the bad knee. Dye has a great arm.
One of the reasons that they got Singleton in center field was to allow the Long to play the position for his arm that would be best suited, which is left field.
Right.
But since Dye is out, like you were talking about, he is now playing right field until Dye gets back.
So that brings up Mondesi, who's 0 for 3 today. First and second, 2 men out. Top of the 7th, 1 run already in. Way inside. The right-hander, Mike New, warming. And the count 1-1. Seems that Bradford does not have the unerring command that he usually has. Not hitting spots like he usually does. Bernie Williams on second. Hideki Matsui is on first. Yankees lead 5-0, top of the 7th. They try to even up this series at a game apiece. There's a strike on the outside corner, and the count 2-2. Mondesi on this road trip is 6 for 17 at this point. He had a great series in Seattle. Yankees won 2 out of 3 there. A 6-game, 2-city West Coast trip, which will end tomorrow on Mother's Day. And the 2-2. And the count is full of 3-2. That gives the Yankees an advantage, because now Bernie Williams and Hideki Matsui will go with 2 outs and a 3-2 count. Runners lead, and they will go with the delivery. There they go, the 3-2 way outside, didn't even come close, and the bases are loaded. So Maka has a decision. Does he go to New to face Trammell, or does he stay with Bradford? Rick Peterson, the pitching coach, goes into his book of tricks. New is throwing hard in the bullpen, so he's ready. And Trammell won't even come up. It's going to be Robin Ventura to pinch hit for Bubba Trammell. And who better to send up with the bases loaded than Robin Ventura?
And it doesn't make any difference, even if the A's want to make a pitching change, because New's right-handed too. So Joe has the upper advantage percentage-wise.
The bases are loaded. Ventura is now officially in the lineup and scratched off the extra players, and we're ready to roll. But first, Mark Johnson wants to have a talk with Bradford. Ventura has 16 grand slams, hitting .349 with the bases loaded. You lock in more with the bases loaded, you become a different hitter. Because you always see guys' averages a little bit higher than their regular average when they have the bases loaded.
Maybe bases loaded in less than 2 outs.
Why the difference?
Well, I mean, fly ball, still, you're still successful by driving in a run at third base. But I'm sure Ventura knows that Bradford's been struggling. He'll look for his pitch to drive.
And the pitch to Ventura is a strike. Also, the batter has a little bit of an advantage because he knows that the pitcher has to throw strikes. There's no place to put them. Yankees up 5-0, bases loaded and 2 outs. That's hit up the middle, fielded there by Tejada. He'll take the out at first, and that will do it as Bradford escapes further trouble. Yankees get a run on 2 hits, no errors, and 3 men left at the end of 6.5. Get up and stretch. 5-0 Yanks.
Thank you, Fred. A sellout crowd here at the Coliseum, and Roger Clemens has been in control since the get-go. The Yankees leading at 5-0 over Oakland. It's been the long ball that's been the difference, along with Clemens.
Speaking of long, here's Terrence Long to lead off the bottom of the 7th inning. Yankees will keep Clemens on a little bit of a short leash. He has 91 pitches, and the Yankee bullpen will be poised if Clemens gets anybody on. But you know Clemens wants to go through at least 7. It'll be Long, Burns, and Singleton here in the bottom of the 7th. And the pitch to Long is low, 1-0. Long struck out looking in the 2nd and grounded to short in the 5th. There's a strike. 90-mile-an-hour fastball here in the 7th inning. Clemens working quickly. And the 1-1 pitch. All you have to do is do a little advanced math, and Clemens will pitch next week at Yankee Stadium, and then the next time would be in Boston. So if he wins his next start, and if he holds on and wins here, then he will go for the historic 300th win at Fenway Park, where he began his career. And what a circus that would be. It really would be an unbelievable thing to have him do it there. Fly ball to center field. Bernie Williams back. Now toward right center. 1 away. I wonder if you really asked him, Bobby, deep down, if he would like to deal with that mess in Boston going for his 300th there.
He said in spring training that the hardest part about winning 300, and this year with the 299, having to deal with 299, once he gets to 299, he said, I think that's going to be the hardest. He said, the one thing I don't want that to be the biggest distraction to my team and also to myself. So he figures 299 is the biggest number for him to deal with.
Well, once he gets to 299, then you're looking at 300 at Fenway, and that might be a little pressure packed because he wants to fly his family in and his mom in, and what a mess it would be at small Fenway Park. That one is lined to left field. Giving chase is Matsui, and he'll have to play it up the base of the wall. He does, and Burns, who's giving some trouble to Clemens, gets his 2nd double of the afternoon.
Well, Eric Burns is probably opening the eyes of Ken Maka with Jermaine Dye on the disabled list. He has made a great play this afternoon, robbing the Yanks of a home run, and then now he's fiddled in with his last, well, it's his 2nd double of the game, back-to-back doubles.
Well, that's what you want to do when you're filling in for somebody with an injury. You want to show them that, hey, I can play too. Eric Almonte's done a little bit of that with the Yankees, and Eric Burns here with the A's. Ken Maka is the one who ultimately has to make the decision. Almonte's hit well enough, filling in for Jeter. A little shaky in the field, though, with 9 errors. Singleton fouled back. We get word on the injury to Chavez. They say it's a contusion of the left hand, and that really means the hand hurts.
We could see that.
Right. Didn't need an x-ray machine to know it was a contusion. Well,
the big factor will be if there's really any broken bones in there. If not, he probably won't be out that long. But the best thing to do is what they did was get him in the clubhouse, get the ice on it, try to minimize the swelling of the hand.
Way outside, and the count 2-1. Singleton's is 1 for 2. He doubled to left center, then flied to right. Double-barreled action in the Yankee pen. You've got Juan Acevedo and Sterling Hitchcock, the righty and the lefty. Two-one. Line just off the glove of Almonte into left field. Burns will stop at third. Matsui gets the ball into Zito. Another base hit for Singleton. And the A's have 4 hits in the last 2 innings against Clemens. And now they have runners on first and third with 1 man out.
They could probably throw those counters away. I'm talking about the pitching coach of the pitch counts. The hitters normally will tell you that a pitcher has lost a little bit off his fastball and he's not locating well. I think that's what the A's have been saying here in the last couple of innings. You know, you talked about the 90-plus fastball. Well, just a 1 mile an hour difference in that fastball allows those hitters to catch up with it. You get a little tired with your lower legs, and next thing you know, you begin to fly open, and you don't have the strength to put your arm in the right angle.
Johnson swinging a miss at a splitter, and that was Clemens' 103rd pitch of the afternoon. 5-0 Yankees. Yankees lost last night 7-2, trying to even the series at a game apiece. Tomorrow, another good pitching matchup, Mulder against Pettit. Clemens is slowed down with runners on base. Does the old Nelson fake to third, fake to first? We call it the old Nelson because that's what Jeff Nelson used to do almost on a game-by-game basis.
And it worked the same way.
That's right. I've seen it work once or twice.
Have you?
You've really got to be asleep if you're a base runner for that to work. Burns is at third. Singleton is at first. 1 man out here in the bottom of the 7th. The Yankees up 5-0. Let's see if it's hit hard enough for 2. There's 1. Not in time. A run scores. They missed an inning-ending double play by just a bit. And Joe Torre wants to have a word with first base umpire Jim Reynolds. So an RBI for Johnson. And the Yankee lead is now 5-1.
Eric Almonte got everything he could on this throw. And it really was close. And by that angle right there, it appeared that that runner could have been out at first base. Johnson running hard. You couldn't tell that much there, but boy, it sure looked close for the double play. I think Roger thought he had the DP.
Well, I couldn't tell for sure. Let's see on this replay. He's out.
Yeah, he is out. And that's what Joe Torre was arguing about. And everybody else thought it was a double play. I'll tell you, Almonte put a lot on that ball.
Now, that's not an easy call because we had that slowed down frame by frame so we could see it. But Jim Reynolds did blow the call according to the replay. So Joe Torre goes out and talks with Clemens and leaves without Clemens. So Clemens said, hey, I can get this out. I have noticed, Bobby, I wonder if you do, that, and we'll take another look at the play at first, and he's out. His foot's not quite down and the ball's in the glove. That Joe manages the game a little bit differently with a weaker bullpen without the great setup man. He'll keep the starter in a little longer. We saw it yesterday, and we're seeing it here today. And I guess you really can't blame him because the guys that set up for Rivera really haven't stood out.
And basically, I mean, if your bullpen is struggling a bit and your starter's doing a good job, I mean, you know, why relinquish that?
Pitch to Ellis is fouled back.
The Yankees starting this season, we're pitching into the 7th and 8th inning. I'm talking about the starters in most of the games. Because they were in control.
Fastball tails out of the strike zone. The count 2-1. Well, in the past, Joe has always had a very set bullpen rotation. Rivera closed. Last couple of years it was Carsey, Stanton, and Mendoza for the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And now there's a melange of pitchers out there that haven't quite done the job they were supposed to do. It's hit or miss, it seems, when you bring them in. So he's been somewhat reluctant to bring them in. They're hoping to straighten that out just a little bit when they have Osuna come back from DL. And they're really crossing their fingers tightly that they get Carsey back. And Carsey today threw 39 pitches in the bullpen. And Osuna threw 44 pitches during BP, so they are moving along. A little bit low, and the count is full at 3-2. You get the feeling that if he loses Ellis, he's out of the game. Johnson will be going at first. And the 3-2. Missed outside. Ellis walks. That puts runners on first and second. Still 2 outs. And here comes Joe Torre, and there goes Roger Clemens. So Torre will signal for the left-hander Sterling Hitchcock to face Hatterberg. Clemens was coasting until the 5th. Then he gave up 2 hits in the 6th, but got out of it. And then a couple of hits and a walk here in the 7th, finally giving up a run. And Joe Torre has seen enough. Clemens has thrown 111 pitches, and he will pick up his 298th victory of his career if, in fact, the Yankee bullpen does its job. Clemens gets serenaded with boos here at the Oakland Coliseum. You sit back and wait. It'll be Hitchcock against Hatterberg when we get back. Still in the bottom of the 7th inning. Joe Torre and Mel Stottlemyre talking it over. The last pitch to Mark Ellis. Roger Clemens thought it was a strike. It looked outside from the replay, but Clemens was a little bit chapped in the dugout. You could see it had a tail on it. So Ellis walked, and that was Clemens' last pitch. Now it's Hitchcock against Hatterberg. And the pitch is low and away. Hitchcock has pitched much better of late as he gets more work, building up more arm strength and more command.
Well, the double play gets the Yankees out of the inning without a run. And of course, with that run, it brings the grand slam into focus as a tie.
There's a strike by Hitchcock, and the count 1-1. See Hitchcock's numbers, they're not too bad. He's brought them down from highs. 8 1/3, 8 hits. Has not walked a batter, which is excellent, and he struck out 8. 2.16 ERA. 1-1. Popped him up. Hitchcock's going to get out of it. Almonte on the outfield grass. He puts it away for the final out of the inning. So the Yankees might have found a situational lefty in Sterling Hitchcock. 1 run, 2 hits, and 1 man left. We go to the 8th. Yankees lead 5-1. Tonight at 7:30 on Yes, go inside the pinstripes with a look at the life and career of Yankees great Mariano Rivera on the Emmy Award-winning series Yankeeography. From his childhood in Panama to his success as one of the greatest closers ever. Find out the whole story on Yankeeography Mariano Rivera tonight at 7:30 right here on Yes. Interesting shadows on the interlocking NY on a Yankee cap. And that NY is heading toward a W right now. If the Yankee bullpen could hold on, but a new pitcher for the A's.
A new pitcher indeed. 8th game for New. A couple of strikeouts in 8 innings. Good fastball, but even better changeup. Rule 5 draftee out of the Cincinnati Red organization.
Nick Johnson will face New. And the pitch is high. Now, a Rule 5 drafter, you take him off the roster, but you have to keep him on your 25-man Major League roster the whole year. And if you don't, you have to offer him back to the team that you took him from. And the A's like New. And they would ideally like to send him down to the minor leagues for more seasoning, but they know they'd lose him, so they'd rather bite the bullet and keep him up here and keep him on the roster. Now, if next year they want to send him down, then they're allowed. But for 1 full year in a Rule 5 draftee, you have to keep him on the 25-man Major League roster.
Yeah, he was drafted in 1999, as you mentioned, so this is the only big league experience that he is getting. They're willing to take that chance with what they think is somebody that could be here for a while.
And you know, Bobby, it's odd that a team that wants to win a pennant and go to the World Series would ever risk having a Rule 5 draft pick on the team. You see the Blue Jays do it a lot. They had 3 Rule 5 draft picks on their team at the beginning of the year, but they're not going to win the pennant.
Well, I think it has to do with the organization and where they are financially. And this is an organization that probably has to do some things that would be abnormal. But you rely a lot on your scouting department. And Billy Beane and the scouts of this organization think that this young man obviously can pitch on the big league level without too much experience. Only time will tell.
Johnson nubs 1 foul.
Probably get by with a little bit of that in your bullpen with the starters that they have here in Oakland, with Mulder and Zito and Hudson, who all 3 pitch well into the 7th, 8th, and a lot of complete games. Mulder, I think, has like 3 complete games already.
Nick Johnson down on strikes, 1 away.
One thing that they did like about New is the changeup, and that was a changeup that he threw at Nick Johnson.
And usually a young pitcher has not yet mastered the changeup. It's rare to see that. See the Yankees in-game box score: 3 hits for Posada, 3-run home run. Bernie Williams, 3 hits, a solo home run. Nick Johnson has a hit, and that's it. Driven out to right center field. Singleton. 2 away.
Well, Mike New is almost home. He's from Napa, California. That was where he was born. That's just up the road a piece. I'm sure you've been to Napa before, haven't you?
No.
You've never been to Napa?
No, sir.
Oh.
I take Napas, but I've never been to it.
You sure do. That's where you can really take your shoes off and enjoy it, over in Napa.
So you
crushing
like
those
Napa.
grapes.
You like Napa.
Do I ever?
Pitch to Soriano is a strike. Soriano is 0 for 4. 2 strikeouts sandwiching, 2 fly balls to center. Got him. Could not get out of the way. So Soriano is hit by a pitch with 2 outs here in the 8th.
Soriano has that great knack to be able to stand on top of the plate and then move out of the way of it and only get a glancing blow when they throw the ball a little too far inside. One thing to stand there and take the full force of that baseball, or be able to move away from it and take a glancing blow.
Zeal fouls it back.
It's even better to be able to get out of the way.
Can't even imagine how much that hurts.
It doesn't hurt for like the first half second or second, but after that, it really hurts.
I bet. Along with Bobby Mercer, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball on the Yes Network on this Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening. We thank you for that. Yankees lead 5-1. What was billed as a pitching matchup was more so for the Yankees than for Zito, because Roger Clemens pitched beautifully over 6 2/3. Barry Zito lasted just 6 innings, gave up a 3-run home run to Posada, a solo home run to Jorge Posada, and the Yankees are leading 5-1 as Clemens going for victory in number 298. Hitchcock is on in relief. Mike New, the 3rd Oakland pitcher, is in the set. Time is called by Zeal.
Good time for Soriano. Take second base.
Strike victory inside corner. Zeal down looking. So a nice job for Mike New. No runs, no hits, no errors. Now one man left. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's the Yankees 5 and the A's 1. Well, so far this afternoon, the A's have been banjo hitters against Roger Clemens and Sterling Hitchcock. So the crowd being entertained in some way as the Yankees are leading the A's 5-1 in game 2 of this 3-game set. And Frank Menachino is going to pinch hit for Jason Grabowski. Yankees have gone 23-0 and leading after 8 innings, so they need these 3 outs. Last year they were 88-1 in those situations. So Menachino pinch hits for Grabowski, who took over for Chavez at third after Chavez got hurt with the line drive off the bat of Jorge Posada. 1-0 to Menachino, fouled away.
Menachino from Staten Island, New York, and was the regular second baseman there for a while until the trade that brought Mark Ellis over here.
Strike on the outside corner, 1-2. Juan Acevedo warms in the Yankee bullpen. And the 1-2 to Menachino. Fouled away.
It's always about the time when you say Acevedo, you see Mariano is at the leaded ball that he uses to start to limber that right arm up with. There it is. He knows his time is very near.
And the 1-2. Tap softly to second base. Soriano, 1 away. Hey, Yankee fans, Yankees.com shop has the best selection of Yankees gear, including caps, pullovers, and lots more. Visit Yankees.com and shop online today at the official site of the New York Yankees. Here's Miguel Tejada against Sterling Hitchcock. And there's a strike. It's funny. Since spring training, we've heard how the Yankees have been trying to deal Sterling Hitchcock, who's going to take most of the money that's due Sterling Hitchcock, and he was used in a mop-up role, and then he wanted to be used more, and Joe Torre said, how could I use you more unless you pitch well? He said, how could I pitch well unless you use me more? Well, slowly they started to get him in the games, Bobby, and now he's becoming fairly effective out of the bullpen.
Well, that'll be a welcome sight to anybody in the Yankee organization. But Sterling Hitchcock also gives you, from a hitter standpoint, he gives you that deception where he kind of has that small hesitation before he slings the ball at you.
And the 0-2. Grounded left side. Grabbed there by Zeal. Does a 360 and fires high over the head of Nick Johnson. Backing up is Posada, but Tejada is on second. That'll be a base hit in an E5.
Nice stop by Zito, but the 360 threw him off balance, and he lost sight of what first base looked like. And when he released the ball, it was well over the head of Nick Johnson. Posada over there backing up. But Tejada pretty good speed, so he goes into second base.
So Tejada picks up 2 base hits. That's a single and an E5, allowing him to move to second. Here's Durazo. And the count 1-0. Durazo just got out of the way, and the count 2-0. Game far from over. It's a 5-1 Yankee lead, but we're in the bottom of the 8th inning with 1 out. Oakland can score some runs. You don't want to give them the opportunity to get the tying run to the plate. Tejada leads off second. Durazo with a 2-0 count. And there's a strike. And that's impressive because that's an 87-mile-an-hour fastball. And Hitchcock last year and the beginning of this year was struggling to get it to 85 or 86. If he can get it to 87, 88, he can be an effective pitcher with his change of speed. The 2-1. Check swing. Did he go? No, said third base umpire Jim Joyce.
You be the judge. Pitch way down low.
And the 3-1. Line drive to right field. That is going to be a base hit. Tejada rounds third. He's going to try to score. The throw is cut off by Nick Johnson. So an RBI single for Durazo, and the Yankee lead is now 5-2.
Pitching behind in the count allows Durazo to pick his pitch and be on the offensive. It looked like that Mondesi, oh, that's what it was. He couldn't get the ball out of the glove. It looked like he wasn't even going to try to throw into home. But it was the fact from that angle that we saw there that he could not get the ball out of the glove. He bobbled it, but he would have had a shot at Tejada.
So the crowd, which has been quiet for most of the afternoon, now getting into it. Here's Terrence Long against the lefty Hitchcock. And he misses again, 1-0. Acevedo's ready. He's just watching the proceedings from the bullpen.
Probably the last hitter that Hitchcock will see with Burns coming up.
There's a strike on the outside corner. Now you saw Mel Stottlemyre get on the phone, and what he said was get Hammond up. So Chris Hammond will join Juan Acevedo. Grounded softly towards second. They have one play. That's at first. They make it for the second out of the inning as Durazo advances to second base. And that will do it for Sterling Hitchcock as Joe Torre comes out of the dugout. So Joe is going to bring in Juan Acevedo to face Eric Burns. And Hitchcock did okay, as Joe Torre tries to patch a couple of innings out of the pen. We'll step aside for just a moment. When we come back, it'll be Acevedo against Burns. Keep it right here. Yankees lead 5-2.
Let's tune in tomorrow for an evening of great television on Yes. First at 7:30 is the premiere of the 4th installment of the history of the Yankees, 1980 to 2002. Boy, that's a great program. Then at 8:30, join my colleague Michael Cage. He sits down for an hour of conversation with Yankees fan Billy Crystal. That's on Center Stage. It's an evening of great television tomorrow starting at 7:30, and it's right here on Yes.
Right now on Yes, we've got a runner on second base with 2 outs, bottom of the 8th inning. Yankees lead 5-2. Juan Acevedo comes on, a very bloated ERA of 8.36, 21 hits in 14 innings. Good strikeout to walk ratio, 13-3. He will face Eric Burns, 2 for 3 today against Clemens, 2 doubles. And the pitch is a strike.
Those have been back-to-back doubles. Acevedo, fastball and a split-fingered fastball. Now Mariano Rivera joins Hammond down the Yankee bullpen.
Count 1-1. They lose Burns, and Singleton would come up as the tying run here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Splitter right there. Check the swing.
Yeah, it's a good footer, too. Acevedo saying that he has had a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a problem. That front shoulder flying open. So he's had problems in this area. And that's the reason that his flat fastball that he relies on so much, that he says he wants to find again, has been not that effective.
Popped up foul, and the count levels at 2-2. Burns has had quite a day. The 2 doubles and then this great catch off Bubba Trammell.
Yeah, Bubba Trammell thought he had a home run, but Burns had a different idea.
That's worth a fist pump. And the 2-2. Golfs it to left field. Matsui is there, and he'll make the play for the final out of the inning. But the A's get a run on 2 hits, 1 error, and 1 man left. We've played 8. It's the Yankees 5 and the Oakland Athletics 2. New York Yankees baseball has been brought to you in part by Avis, the official rental car company of the New York Yankees. It has been an exquisite day in the Bay Area. And so far for the Yankees, no complaints as they lead 5-2, and they're poised to give Roger Clemens his 298th career victory. But still an inning to go. The Yankees are perfect after 8 innings holding the lead, and let's see if they can keep that going. It'll be Posada, Williams, and Matsui against Mike Nen here in the 9th. Posada's had a great day. 3 for 4, 2 doubles, and a home run. And the pitch from New is inside. There's a strike. Bobby, sources tell me you're going to kick it old school in the city tonight. It's your wife's birthday.
It is my wife's birthday. But what do you mean by kicking the old school?
Going out having a good time.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yeah.
Of course.
Tell Kay Mercer we all say happy birthday.
Oh, I'll certainly do that.
And tomorrow, happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. All you moms, the 2-1. And the count 2-2. Can you tell us what you got her as a gift? She's not watching.
I can't say it right now.
Really?
She'll get a call from New York before I get home. It really is nice, though.
Swing and a miss, and Posada down on strikes. 1 away?
Well, I guess I could hint.
No, don't, because we don't want her to find out and ruin it.
Now batting.
Taking her out to dinner tonight, that's one of the big gifts. That is the biggest gift, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So that's not a frequent occurrence?
Every day. She says she put her time in cooking. We don't cook much.
She deserves to go out.
She sure does.
Pitch is inside. I always get a kick. They hand out the schedule for yes of the announcers for each game, and it'll say K. Cott or Cott Singleton. And when you and I do a game together, it's always K. Mercer.
That's right.
Remind you of your wife.
She pointed that out to me.
And the count is 1-1 to Bernie. Bernie has had a good day as well. He's 3 for 4. A booming home run to left, solo shot, single to right, and an RBI single to right. Strike from New, and the count 1-2.
Good day for Shades.
Robin Ventura and Charles Gibson just chilling. Line drive to right field. Late jump long, but he'll make the play for the second out of the inning. Now, just so you don't say this, Bobby, and get it wrong, it's not kicking the old school. It's kicking it old school. So when you're hanging.
I got you. I think I'll get it right when I go home and tell her about this.
Yeah, go home and say, okay, we're going to kick it old school tonight. Speaking of shades, Jason Giambi covering painful eyes. He has a staph infection in his eyes, and he was scratched from the lineup today. And Matsui flies out to center field, and that will complete an 0-for-3 day for him. So his 10-game inning streak is essentially over unless there's extra innings. Mariano Rivera is going to keep from that as the Yankees lead 5-2. Tomorrow afternoon on Yes, the Bombers battle the A's in the final game of this series right here in Oakland. Complete coverage begins at 3:30 with Fred Hickman, Susan Waldman, and the Yankees pregame. Then just join Bobby Mercer and me as we call all the action beginning at 4 p.m. Yankees against the A's tomorrow afternoon, starting at 3:30 only on Yes. And that'll have another good pitching matchup, a battle of left-handers, Andy Pettit against Mark Mulder. But this one's not yet over. Yankees bring in their best, Mariano Rivera, to try to get the final 3 outs in the ninth. It's a save situation. Yankees hold a 3-run lead, 5-7-1, leading 2-8-0. Mariano Rivera has looked sharp of late. Since coming up the DL, this is his 5th game, 2.25. He has 2 saves, 2 hits in 4 innings, and a strikeout to walk ratio of 6-1.
And you talked about Sterling Hitchcock getting a chance to build that arm strength up again. That's basically what Mariano is doing too. And you said each and every time he comes out, he looks a little bit sharper. That's because of the arm strength buildup.
Singleton, Johnson, and Ellis will face Mariano Rivera. And the pitch. Inside, what he's been doing a lot this year since coming up the DL, he is featuring the two-seamer. He's not living exclusively with the cutter, and that gives hitters a different thing to look for. There's a strike.
Started that last year, especially from the left side. I mean, he just pounds the left-handers in there with that cut fastball in this area right here. The two-seamer makes it go away, so it becomes really an effective pitch.
That one he jams with the cutter, and the count 1-2.
I mean, when you walk in there from the left side, you got to realize that you better be quick inside because that's where the ball, most of the balls are going to be.
And if he starts showing the two-seam away and you just lean over a bit, then you're done.
Well, I mean, it's almost like it stuns you. You can't lift the bat off the shoulder.
1-2. And he was having trouble the last couple of years with the cutter against righties because they can extend the arm and just take the ball to right field. So now with the two-seamer, he can tie them up as well and then put him away with the cutter away. So it's a good pitch for him if he throws it effectively. 2-2. Ground ball is short. Almonte. 1 away here in the ninth. It's time for the play of the game, brought to you by Continental Airlines, the official airline of the New York Yankees. Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right.
And the play of the game, Jorge Posada batting third for Joe Torre this offense today. Barry Zito, it is gone. Well, Posada with a 3-run shot. That's through the Yankees are up 5-2.
Here's Mark Johnson. And the pitch is inside 1-0.
Well, you were talking about the left-handed batter versus the right-handed batter. The right-handed batter seems to have a little bit more success against Mariano. One of the reasons is because the cutter moving on the same level as the right-hander swing. When the ball is biting in on you, it's tying your hands up. You're not able to extend them. On the right side, you're able to extend the arms because the ball's moving away from you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. The 2-0. There's a strike.
We're starting to agree a lot more on certain theories.
It's a little scary, isn't it?
It is scary.
For you.
It is, for sure.
The 2-1. Broken back, ground ball at first. Nick Johnson with the tough hop. He'll flip to Rivera, covering 2 away. The Yankees are 1 away from a victory. Hey, remember, for the first word after the last out, stay tuned for the Nissan postgame, featuring detailed analysis of today's game, interviews with players, plus scores and highlights from around the league. The Nissan postgame immediately following the game right here on Yes. Susan Waldman will be working the clubhouse. Fred Hickman will be back at the studio, and they'll talk about everything and anything following this game.
Yeah, excuse me, Mike. We'll talk about the left-hander bearing in on him and having to tie him up inside. Left-hander gets tied up. They don't get a chance to really extend those arms out on Mariano.
Here's Mark Ellis. And that pitch, I guess, a little bit high, 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Ellis, the last batter that Roger Clemens faced in the 7th inning, a 3-2 pitch that Clemens thought was a strike on the outside corner, but was called outside. Mark Ellis walked. There's a strike from Rivera, and the count 1-1.
Well, that's about as sharp and crisp as I've seen Mariano throw the ball in a long, long time. You're looking at Andy Pettit. He gets the start for tomorrow. And the rubber match of this 3-game series.
1-1. One strike away in the count 1-2. Got a piece of Posada, and he hops up and down.
He almost got by the whole game without being hit. Almost. Didn't happen.
What a position. You can't cover everything, and you know that the part that's not covered, the ball will find it.
If you can't stand pain, you better not be behind home plate.
There's a former catcher.
Yeah, he knows about that.
Smart enough, he moved to third.
Another guy sitting next to him, Dean Monahan, the head trainer, he knows about pain. He deals with it every day.
And the 1-2. Did it get him?
Yeah.
Yes, it did. So Ellis will take first. Didn't want to do that on a 1-2 pitch.
Mariano trying to work that cutter inside like Kiss and to tie the hands up for the right-hander. He got that one in just a little bit too far.
Like it might have gotten him on the right elbow or right forearm. And that brings up Hatterberg.
It's so amazing to see what Mariano has done in his career and how dominating he has been with one pitch. Virtually one pitch. Everybody that walks up there to face Mariano Rivera, they know what he's going to throw.
They can look for the
and
same
they still
speed.
Can't hit it.
Absolutely. Ground ball to first. This should do it. Nick Johnson fields. He'll take it himself. Steps on the bag. And the Yankees win the game 5-2. So Mariano Rivera gets the save. Roger Clemens gets the win. Significant because it's his 298th of his career. Posada with a big 3-run home run. And Bernie Williams with a solo shot as the Yankees and Roger Clemens outduel the A's and Barry Zito. So the series is even up at a game apiece. Tomorrow's the rubber game, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll break it down, then we'll wrap it up. Yankees win 5-2 here on Yes. Well, a great Saturday for the New York Yankees here in Oakland as they beat the A's 5-2, 5-7-1 for the Yanks, 2-8-0 for the A's. Roger Clemens gets the victory with 6 2/3 innings of work. He goes to 5-2. Barry Zito took loss 5-3. He lasted just 6. Mariano Rivera pitched the ninth for his third save. Time of the game, a manageable 2 hours and 54 minutes. Home run for the Yankees. Solo shot by Bernie Williams, his 7th. A 3-run shot by Posada gave the Yankees breathing room. His 9th. Clemens 6 2/3, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. And with that victory, Clemens now goes to 298 on the all-time list. 298 victories. He's still in 21st place. And he needs 2 more to get to the magic 300, and that would put him into a tie for 19th with Early Wynn and Lefty Grove. And right now, if he wins his next start, he'll go for that 300th victory at Fenway Park. You think that might be a little exciting? Could be, but he has to win his next victory in order to do that. Coming up on the Yes Network, the Nissan New York Yankees postgame with Fred Hickman and Susan Waldman, featuring complete analysis of today's game. Special thanks to our producer, Kevin Smolin, director John Moore, and executive producer John Filippelli. Join us again tomorrow for Yankees baseball as the Bombers take on the A's right here in Oakland. The action gets underway at 3:30 with the New York Yankees pregame show. For more on the Yes Network, log on to yesnetwork.com. For Bobby Mercer, I'm Michael Kay saying see ya from Network Associates Coliseum. Once again, the final score, the New York Yankees 5 and the Oakland Athletics 2. Well, now that you've enjoyed the game, now let's go to Fred Hickman in our studio.